Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're running a saltwater aquarium, you already know the drill, right? The absolute holy grail of a thriving, vibrant reef is pristine water quality. And to get there, we're constantly battling excess nutrients. Well, today we are setting up the ultimate reef tank showdown for nutrient control. In one corner, we've got the reliable, totally predictable Chaeto, and in the other, the dynamic, branching Caulerpa. Now, both of these are incredibly popular macroalgae choices for your system, but man, they demand very different things from you as an aquarist. By the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly which of these macroalgae heavyweights belongs in your tank. Okay, let's dive into this tale of the tape. Here's exactly how we'll evaluate these two options. First, refugiums and nutrient control. Second, meet the macroalgae contenders. Third, maintenance and harvesting realities. Fourth, managing the die-off danger. And finally, making your final choice.
All right, part 1, refugiums and nutrient control. Let's set the stage. Listen, we all know the ongoing battle against fish waste and uneaten food, right? To combat this, we rely on the refugium. Basically, that's our dedicated safe zone for beneficial algae to absorb excess nitrate and phosphate, which literally starves out the nuisance algae in your main display. So instead of relying purely on chemicals or mechanical filtration, we're purposefully growing these macroalgae powerhouses to outcompete the bad stuff entirely naturally.
But hey, simply throwing some algae into a chamber? Yeah, that isn't going to cut it. It's all about this crucial engine right here, the grow and harvest loop. It's a simple 3-step process. Step 1. The macroalgae grows by absorbing those excess nutrients right out of your water column. Step 2, you, the aquarist, step in and manually remove portions of that algae. And step 3, because those nutrients are literally locked inside the plant tissue you just pulled out, boom, those nutrients are permanently exported from your system. Make no mistake, you are the actual engine of this process. The real-world impact of your refugium entirely depends on your lighting, your water flow, and honestly, how consistently you execute this loop.
Moving right along to Section 2, meet the macroalgae contenders. Time to see who's in the red and blue corners.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental physical difference between our two options. On one side, we have Chaeto, scientifically known as Chaetomorpha. It grows as this dense, predictable clump. On the other side, there's Caulerpa, which grows with these distinct, creeping, branching fronds. So we're essentially contrasting a tangled ball of algae against a leafy vine. And trust me, how they grow completely dictates how you're going to manage them.
Let's take a closer look at Chaeto first. This is for sure the straightforward, highly manageable contender in our matchup. Because it forms this thick, wiry mass, it naturally just stays clumped together. It doesn't generally attach itself to your rocks or your equipment, which makes it, honestly, incredibly predictable. When it's time to harvest, you essentially just reach in, grab a handful of this dense ball, and pull it right out. It is favored by so many aquarists exactly because it's a breeze to harvest and extremely easy to keep contained right in its designated area.
Now consider Caulerpa the aggressive challenger here. It grows entirely differently, featuring those long, branching fronds. But more importantly, Caulerpa has the ability to attach to surfaces, creep along the bottom, and really spread out. Seriously, it creeps and attaches to rockwork, kind of like ivy on a brick wall. If unmanaged, it will aggressively seek out and choke your equipment or just occupy areas you absolutely never intended for it to reach. You definitely have to keep its growth strictly in check.
All right, let's get into Section 3, maintenance and harvesting realities. Or, as I like to call it, the daily grind.
Here's where the rubber really meets the road. Just look at the stark contrast in the labor required for each of these organisms. Chaeto maintenance, that offers a pretty relaxed periodic trimming routine. Caulerpa maintenance, however, that demands frequent observation and surgical pruning. Let's break down exactly what that means for your weekend maintenance schedule.
With Chaeto, you're looking at really simple, predictable steps. You'll do periodic trimming, which is just pulling away chunks of the mass. Easy. You'll also want to do some occasional mass rearrangement. Essentially, you're just rotating or gently separating the ball a bit, just to ensure that light is penetrating throughout the whole clump. You pair that with a refugium light schedule that supports steady growth without overheating your system, and, well, that's really it. It's an incredibly stable nutrient uptake system simply because it is just so easy to remove those regular portions.
Caulerpa, on the flip side, is a much more involved affair. Because it spreads and adheres to surfaces, successful husbandry absolutely requires frequent observation. You literally can't just ignore it for a month. You need to engage in careful pruning to stop it from creeping into pumps or trying to climb right out of the refugium. So, the crucial point is the risk of rapid regrowth. If you leave even a tiny bit of the runner attached to a rock, it can regrow with an absolute vengeance. It is the ultimate escape artist if you aren't diligent. Which brings us to Section 4, managing the die-off danger, the high stakes.
Okay, let's talk about the nightmare scenario for literally any macroalgae refugium. When algae declines suddenly or starts breaking down in the tank, all of those nutrients it absorbed, they are released right back into your system. Think about it. Months, maybe even years of carefully exporting nitrate and phosphate can be completely reversed in a matter of days if a large die-off occurs. Instead of cleaning your water, the decaying algae is actively polluting it. Talk about a disaster.
Now, it's really important to clarify here that neither algae is invincible. Both Chaeto and Caulerpa can face stress and decline under poor conditions. If they get insufficient light, or if your water parameters get severely disrupted, both of them are going to suffer. However, Chaeto is widely chosen by aquarists, especially for its manageability during these exact events. Because it's a contained mass, if it starts to look unhealthy, you can easily pull the entire clump out before it fouls your water. One swift move, and you're safe.
Caulerpa, though, presents a massive containment challenge during a decline. As the source material points out, keeping Caulerpa successfully pairs with stricter routine monitoring and pruning discipline. Choosing Caulerpa absolutely raises the containment stakes. If a die-off begins, fishing out every single dissolving, attached frond of Caulerpa from your rocks, it is incredibly frustrating and difficult. It requires serious operator dedication to ensure it stays healthy and contained at all times.
And finally, Section 5, making your final choice, the verdict.
To summarize this whole matchup, you really have to align your choice with your own personal husbandry habits. Chaeto is undoubtedly the practical choice. It's generally easier to control, easier to harvest, and way easier to keep contained. Honestly, it's perfect for most setups. Caulerpa, however, remains a strong option, but specifically for experienced keepers. It offers these really unique growth and uptake characteristics that some reef keepers absolutely swear by, but you must be prepared to monitor it closely and manage it proactively. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final checklist for success. Ultimately, the best results come from matching the macroalgae to your specific tank. Look at your refugium layout. Do you actually have the right lighting and flow for the species you want? Be honest about your maintenance frequency too. How often are you actually going to get your hands wet? And finally, clearly define your goals for stable nutrient reduction. Your setup and your habits dictate your success.
And I really want to emphasize this major takeaway from the explainer today. The operator matters just as much as the gear. Regular harvesting matters just as much as the species you select. Whether you choose the predictable Chaeto ball or the creeping Caulerpa vine, you must execute that grow and harvest loop, removing the algae before it declines or stops exporting efficiently. That is literally the only way to achieve your nutrient reduction goals.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Are you a meticulous pruner, ready to tame a dynamic jungle? Or are you more of a hands-off hobbyist looking for a predictable, easy routine? The health of your reef depends entirely on your honest answer. Choose your macroalgae wisely, stick to your harvesting loop, and watch your reef absolutely thrive. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy reefing.